Hello everyone, my name is Dr. Aditya Gupta. So let's do another video on the INICET recall. This time I will be talking more about either pediatrics question or hematology oncology question, which is my subspecialization. So let's begin. The first question that they had asked was simply about the genes that are involved in neuroblastoma, retinoblastoma and Burkis lymphoma. This is a pet question of INICET, has been asked multiple times. In fact, I have made videos on these questions myself. So nobody should ideally get the answer wrong. So we all know that Burkis may बर्किस में प्रॉब्लम होती है कौन सी जीन में सीमिक में There's a translocation in chromosome 814 when 14th chromosome is the immunoglobulin gene heavy chain chromosome and 8th chromosome 8th पे सीमिक जीन होती है and ये ट्रांसलोकेट करते हैं कभी कभी क्या होता है 822 भी होता है बिकॉज ये IgGH हैवी चेन की जगह लाइट चेन हो जाता है लैम्डा हो जाता है या 82,8 भी हो सकता है अगर कप्पा हो ठीक है Similarly, neuroblastoma, we know, and for neuroblastoma, we know NMIC. This is a gene which is mutated or amplified. As far as retinoblastoma is concerned, the gene is RB. RB is present on chromosome 13. This is another thing that they can potentially ask in later exams. So that is the thing. So ये चीज़ basically why they keep on asking this is because people tend to get confused. Neuroblastoma में NMIC होता है, N for neuroblastoma, N for NMIC, while Burkis lymphoma has CMIC. So this is the thing that you need to remember and has been asked multiple times. Burkis lymphoma का 814 and CMIC mutation has been asked multiple times. So even this is essentially, I will consider this question to be a repeat question. Next question is, which of the following drugs is not used in sickle cell anemia? You might be thinking that this is a question asking you about sickle cell anemia, but I'll tell you, if these are the options which people have told me are the correct options, then this is a question not about sickle cell anemia. This is actually a question about COVID-19. Because the answer here is Bibotilimumab, which is essentially a monoclonal antibody. It's a monoclonal antibody against the spike protein of SARS coronavirus 2. And it helps in protection against that. So if you knew this fact that this is one of the monoclonal antibodies available against COVID-19, then you would immediately know that it's not used in sickle cell anemia. Having said that, you can eliminate other options as well in order to get to the answer. We all know that hydroxyurea is used in sickle cell anemia. Why? Because it increases HbF. Right? We also know that Voxelotor is a new drug which is now used in sickle cell anemia. Why? Because it increases oxygen affinity for the small amount of normal hemoglobin that is formed. L-glutamine is also used as far as sickle cell anemia because it acts like a reducing reducing agent. Basically वो NADPH के concentration को कम करके रखता है जिसकी वजह से वो sickling कम हो रही होती है. So hydroxyurea, L-glutamine and Voxelotor. So these three drugs, hydroxyurea, L-glutamine and Voxelotor, all these three drugs are used as far as sickle cell anemia is concerned. Well, this is a monoclonal antibody against the SARS coronavirus 2. Alright, next question. RK39 with visceromegaly is treated with. This is again I'll say a repeat question. Go to my May 2018 when I actually first started making YouTube videos. I made a question on leishmaniasis. So RK39 positivity we know is basically present in what? It will be present as far as Kala Azar is concerned or leishmaniasis is concerned. Visceralomegaly essentially suggests there is a hepatosplenomegaly, that is your liver is enlarged or your spleen is large, and this is treated with. So back then they had asked you which is an oral drug used for it. So the oral drug used for it is called miltefosine. And treatment of choice is liposomal amphotericin B. So these are the two drugs that are commonly asked as far as treatment of Kala-Azar or leishmaniasis is concerned. You can check out my recall video. I'll be giving the link in the description or in the pinned comment. Then they asked you which of the following is a marker for NK cell. Now this is a tricky question. I will believe this is a tough question, but still again using the law of making sure that you have to figure out the right answer by eliminating wrong answers, you can still figure out the answer to this. So we know the CD3 is a marker of T cells. We know this, so CD3 is out. We also know CD25 is a marker of, it's a marker of T regulatory cells. So CD25 is also ruled out. Now the confusion might stem between CD68 and CD94. So you have to remember that this is the thing that if you remember by chance, that CD68 actually is a marker of macrophages. So you will eliminate this as well and you'll get to the answer which is your CD94. It's a marker for NK cell. So CD25 is a marker for T regulatory cell. Why? Because it is essentially a receptor for interleukin 2. and interleukin 2 is involved as far as regulation of T cells is concerned. CD3 we know is associated with CD4 and CD8 complexes, and the T cell receptor is a T cell marker. And CD68 is a macrophage marker. So CD94 by elimination becomes CD94 becomes a marker for NK cells. Normally the markers that we do tend to learn about is the 1656, which you always should remember. Next question is ratio of T's to B cells. Now this is a very simple question. It's 66% and 33% in my opinion. Basically what they usually tend to say is that two-third or 60 to 70% are T cells in our body, and the remaining 20 to 40% are B cells in the body. By this simple logic, the answer should be 2:1 if that was given in your options. Some people might say it is 3:1, but I think 2:1 is the best correct option as far as this is concerned, because when we are traditionally teaching, when our professors are teaching us, they usually say for every one B cell there are 2 T cells. That's how they teach us. 66%, 33%, forget about the percentages, forget about the absolute numbers. When they're teaching us in hematology and oncology, what they say actually is for every B cell there are 2 T cells. So that's what they teach, and the answer that's why I think should be 2:1. That's a better option as far as all the options are concerned. Now, the one thing that I wanted to emphasize through these questions, these 4-5 questions, was that you will think, a lot of people are saying that the paper was very unpredictable, the paper had a lot of, weird questions and things like that. I actually believe the paper was very unpredictably predictable or predictably unpredictable, whichever way you want to consider it. AIIMS is known for the fact that paper is going to be from first and second prof. And that was the case. Most of the question, I'll say 60 to 70% of the questions were actually from first and second prof. Most of your questions were for pharmacology, pathology, immunity and hematology. So if you are a fool if you're leaving these topics behind, thinking that more questions will come from, let's say, ENT or surgery, no, more questions are going to come from immunity and hematology. These have been the pet topics. These have been the most famous topics as far as AIIMS is concerned. Next, like I said, predictably unpredictable. Most important thing that I have always emphasized as far as my videos are concerned, you should always focus on repeats. I think all of the questions that I discussed right now, they are repeats. Neuroblastoma has been asked. Burkis lymphoma, CMYC has been asked. Retinoblastoma, RB, always has been asked. They have not asked about as far as sickle cell anemia drugs is concerned, fair enough, but they have asked about coronavirus. We should know all the monoclonal antibodies against coronavirus. So this is not a question of sickle cell anemia, I think it's a question of COVID-19. RK39, like I said, I'll give the link in the description. I've already discussed this. I've already discussed Burkis lymphoma as well once in my videos. Marker for NK cell, I'll agree this is a tough question. I'll definitely agree this is a tough question. But still, you can easily rule out 2 options. CD25 and CD3 are always eliminated because this has been asked multiple times. Again, I'll say this is a semi-repeat question. Similarly, ratio of T's to B cell, this might not have been asked, but again, a typical question given in your pathology teaching, not that tough a question. This brings me to the importance of, there were many other repeats which I'm not discussing. There was a question on AIDS defining illness. There were 2 questions. In fact on checkpoint inhibitors. Checkpoint inhibitor has been the pet of AIIMS since the time Nobel Prize has been given for that as checkpoint inhibitors. There was a question on oral hypoglycemic agents. Oral hypoglycemic agents have been coming for since time immemorial. It's like the very favorite topic. You should know it. There was a question on Crido chart. AIIMS loves to ask about Crido chart. There was a question on maple syrup. Again, has been asked multiple times in INICET AIIMS examination. There was a question on sugar duval. Has been asked in 2015 examination if I'm not wrong. So there were a lot of questions which were repeats. You would be thinking that Letrozole की half life पूछ रही है, क्या बकवास question पूछ रही है. The fact is that Letrozole की half life is not going to determine your rank. The person who's going to get rank 1 will also not know the answer to what is the half-life of Letrozole. You also won't know the half-life to Letrozole. But what will the person who's getting rank 1 do, or the person getting rank 10 or rank 20 do? They'll make sure that ये questions उनके जो repeats है ना, ये गलत नहीं हुए होंगे. उनसे related topics उन्होंने पढ़े होंगे, उनसे related topics के ऊपर जो questions आए थे, वो बिल्कुल भी गलत नहीं हुए होंगे. So repeats become important, and this brings me to the next part of the video. That what should you do? I think if you're preparing for an INICET in November, मेरी recommendation, I've made a video about this also, is join a test and discussion as far as Bhatia is concerned. मतलब there are multiple test and discussion, but मेरी recommendation obviously goes for Bhatia. Obviously I'm biased, मेरे को अच्छा लगा था, मैंने attend किया था, मुझे Bhatia ज़्यादा अच्छा लगा, तो I'll say Bhatia attend कर लो. More importantly, attend a test and discussion, because test and discussion is more important than coaching, क्योंकि एक format बना रहेगा तुम्हारे लिए. और टेस्ट एंड डिस्कशन नहीं अटेंड कर सकते हो तो आई थिंक ऑनलाइन ऐप है ईगुरुकुल, तो उसको ज्वाइन कर सकते हो. बट having said that, उसमें ईगुरुकुल में somebody told me about this one particular feature, तो मैंने ट्राई किया and I'll tell you about that feature right now. So I think one thing really good thing about this app, इसमें ना क्विजी वाला पार्ट जो है ना, मतलब अच्छा है. क्विज अब से थोड़ा इंस्पायर्ड लगता है, बट यू नो MCQ सॉल्विंग वाली फील नहीं आएगी. तुम्हें ऐसे लगेगा कि तुम किसी के साथ क्विज कर रहे हो, एंड क्विजिंग इज़ ऑलवेज इंटरेस्टिंग. तो मैंने इसमें जैसे मुझे मन कर रहा है कि चलो अभी पैथ करते हैं, तो मैं पैथ में गया, पैथ में मैंने कहा चलो हीमोडायनेमिक डिसऑर्डर्स एंड थ्रोम्बोएम्बोलिक डिजीज़ करते हैं, तो बस ऑनलाइन गए, उसी समय किसी भी बंदे के साथ एक क्विज़ कर लिया, एंड ये फ्री भी है तो क्विज़ करते रहो तुम, ऐसे ही करते करते 7-8 क्वेश्चन 10 क्वेश्चन भी दिन के सोते समय भी कर लोगे, तो ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ नेक्स्ट 180 days, if you're preparing for November INICET, you would have prepared for close to 2,000-3,000 MCQs, and that's going to help you a lot. Having said that, I am still a believer of the old-fashioned test and discussion. So if you have the option, then I'll say कि Bhatia का test and discussion join कर लो. Even most of the people do end up joining it. And think about INICET as an exam more of a USMLE step 1. That's why first it becomes important. First and second prof ही उनको पसंद है, वो वही पूछेंगे. And I'll tell you something more actually, revealing it for the first time. बेसिकली क्या होता है यार कि हमारे जो फाइनल प्रॉफ के प्रोफेसर्स भी हैं ना, उनसे व्हेन दे आर आस्क्ड टू गिव क्वेश्चंस, लेट्स से एक पीडियाट्रिक्स का प्रोफेसर है एंड एवरीथिंग, दे आल्सो टेंड टू मेक क्वेश्चंस जो कि थोड़े पैथोलॉजी रिलेटेड हो या फार्माकोलॉजी रिलेटेड हो. सो दिस क्वेश्चन आई गिव यू एन एग्जांपल. फॉर एग्जांपल जो ये क्वेश्चन है न्यूरोब्लास्टोमा रेटिनोब्लास्टोमा बर्किट्स वाला, मेरे को तो ये लग रहा है कि हो सकता है मेरे पीडियाट्रिक ऑन्कोलॉजी के प्रोफेसर ने ही बना के दिया हो ये क्वेश्चन, बिकॉज ये लगता पैथोलॉजी का क्वेश्चन है. हो सकता है दिस क्वेश्चन माइट बी गिवन बाय समवन इन पीडियाट्रिक्स. Similarly, this question that marker for NK cell, it's fully possible कि ये पैथोलॉजी में किसी ने नहीं दिया हो, ये हेमेटोलॉजी के जो प्रोफेसर्स ने कोई क्वेश्चंस दिए होंगे एग्जाम में उन्होंने दिया हो. So yeah, this is what I want you guys to learn. Focus on basics first and second prof and their books as far as INICET is concerned.